Okie dokie. Got it.
This one. We're up to 18.
Wow.
We're on to the next section. So this one goes on a little bit onto the next page. I'll show you. So they're just little concepts, really, I think. So we probably won't even need to talk about them too much. Or who knows, we might open up a whole bunch of worms. Who knows?
I'm sure
So
we will.
who shall read that one?
I will.
All right.
Go for it, Linda.
You can do much on behalf of your own healing and that of others if in a situation calling for help you think of it this way. I am here only to be truly helpful. I am here to represent him who sent me. I do not have to worry about what to say or what to do because he who sent me will direct me. Oh my God, that's so true.
Oh, don't. Yeah,
There's
keep
more.
going.
I am content to be wherever he wishes, knowing he goes there with me. I will be healed as I let him teach me to heal.
Oh, lovely.
Mm.
Could
This
you
is
go
exactly
back, Pete?
Yes, I'm back.
I want to write this down.
Mm. Pretty much what we all do, really, isn't it?
Yep.
Pretty much. I'm sorry, gang. I just think that this is really important.
Mm. I like that, not worrying about what to say or do.
Yeah, me too.
That's just.
What's that?
Ah, Gracie! Oh.
Baby.
What page is this, V?
Sorry? Oh, Joe,
Page is
what
this?
page is it in the actual book? Because you've got the book. You're on mute.
Go ahead and advance it, V.
Page 28.
Is
Jane's
there anything
coming.
anyone wants to say about this?
I want to say hi to Jane. It's been ages.
Hey, Jane.
Hey, it's good to see everybody.
Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you.
I've been taking a class here in the US on Tuesday evenings. I only have one more to go, and tonight's didn't happen because of the 4th of July. So
Yeah.
I was just so happy that I could be here.
Yay. Good to see you. We're just writing this one down because it's pretty profound.
Thank you, guys.
Alrighty. That was a big one. Do we need to talk about it?
I think it's just a beautiful thing to be able to
Yeah.
repeat yourself in
Yeah.
almost any context.
Mm.
Yeah. Whether you're in a healing modality or not. It's just,
Yeah.
as humans, this is what we should be doing.
Mm.
And even if we enter into a difficult situation where, that the conversation could go sideways, if you repeated this, it would put you right in the right headspace to be able to enter that and navigate through it a lot more successfully if you kept this mindset. It's beautiful.
I had a reading done on Monday, and that just sums it up so beautifully for me.
Yeah, I would think.
Cool. All right, let's start on fear and conflict. Who wants to read
We'll
this
naturally
one?
progress to that. I'll go ahead and read it.
Alrighty.
Being afraid seems to be involuntary, something beyond your own control. Yet I have said already that only constructive acts should be involuntary. My control can take over everything that does not matter, while my guidance can direct everything that does, if you so choose. Fear cannot be controlled by me, but it can be self-controlled. Fear prevents me from giving you my control. The presence of fear shows that you have raised above thoughts to the level of the mind. This removes them from my control and makes you feel personally responsible for them. This is an obvious confusion of levels.
I'm confused.
Does anyone want to comment on that?
Fear. I agree that it can be involuntary, but it's possible, I think, through our body to actually reduce fear just from being, especially with working with the horses, and you see what I call calming signals. So if they're activated, there's things going on which they're a bit stressed about. They do things physically to lower their activation, to calm themselves down. Calming signals where they'll lower their head, or they'll move some way, whether it be shaking their head or swishing their tail or stamping their foot. They do something to reduce the fear, to reduce the activation, and come back to a rest and digest state. So that's been really interesting for me to learn this kind of stuff, because it makes me aware of when I'm stressed or in fear, and how I can actually physically move that energy.
What I liked about it is being afraid seems to be involuntary. I love that word "seems to be," because that implies that it is voluntary, something beyond your own control. Yet I've said already that only constructive acts should be involuntary. You know, the statement that we read previously almost gives, well, it does. It gives you a way to control the fear. So if we remember, is that I am here only to be truly helpful, that would be the mindset. I'm here to represent him who sent me. I do not have to worry about what to say or what I do or what to do, because he who sent me will direct me. I am content to be whatever he wishes, knowing he goes there with me. I will be healed as I let him teach me to heal. So almost in every situation where we would have fear, that statement would put you into the mindset of mitigating that fear. In my head, anyways. And this is really interesting because it says the presence of fear shows that you have raised body thoughts to the level of mind. So it's almost like when our reptilian brain clicks on and we get dumped with cortisol and adrenaline and we go into fight, flight, or freeze. That's where I'm assuming that's what he means by when he says, have the body thoughts raised to the level of mind. This removes them from my control and makes you feel personally responsible for them because you're feeling them. This is an obvious confusion of levels. Does anyone else see that the statement, those several bullet point statements above, would heal fear?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's almost like how beautifully like the solutions given, and then the next statement is all about fear and involuntary reactions in the body.
I think too the above statements, it just shows you how simple it can be, where we end up making things extremely complicated. Then there becomes confusion, there becomes fear, there becomes, all those other things. But those statements above actually show how we need to be simplistic.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's struck me quite a few times with our readings how complicated we make life and how simple it could be. Just seeing from love and light, and yeah.
It's interesting to me that we don't always choose love and light. That we oftentimes will get worked up on an immediate response, and we'll feel anything less than love and light, which means that whatever we're experiencing seems out of our control, because either we have a state of upset, we have some sort of state of fear. If we have upset, we generally have fear because of it. And I think what I'm getting from this last paragraph is, while my guidance can direct everything that does if you choose so, which sort of means you have to put yourself into those bullet point statements above in a situation where you're going to be activated. I had one of those activating situations the other night, and I couldn't speak to the person because I knew that I wasn't in a resourced enough state to speak to them. And if I would have tried to have that conversation, it would have not gone as I would want it. So I just sort of packed up my stuff and I left. But that wasn't the healing I wanted to create. I wanted to have a really civil conversation and, see if both parts of the equation could get what they needed from the situation. But I knew that I wasn't in that state to actually navigate it. But if I would have done these 6 or so comments beforehand, I could have gotten there. That's why I wanted to write these down, because I thought these are the ones that actually put you in a state where you can have, even if you're activated, you can bring yourself down to a place where you can have those conversations that lead to some form of healing. What do you guys all think of what you experience if you use these bullet point comments? Could you control the fear?
I think the magic word that you said, Gary, was choice. I mean, we get to choose. If we reacted in some way, or we feel like we're going to react in some way that's not helpful, that's coming from fear or hurt, we get to choose of actually, is this how I really want to respond? Is this how I really want to feel?
For me, I think it was important to recognize that I wasn't utilizing these statements, but I knew to leave rather than try to engage in a conversation that I would hope would reach resolution. But I'll definitely have that conversation, because the situation will repeat itself again. So this is perfect.
I guess I have a question. The phrase, "I am content to be wherever he wishes, knowing he goes there with me." This is assuming that the person is in possession of an enlightened awareness, a mindfulness, because otherwise it's, what does the ego wish versus what does my God wish? Am I in alignment? Do I know the difference? Can I get confused?
Yeah. Let me ask you guys this question. When you get triggered, are you able to actually, or I'll put it this way, what are your individual methodologies for bringing yourself back to center? Like, this statement is so powerful. I am content to be wherever he wishes, knowing he goes there with me. That is such a high level state of mind, of surrender. It's not like, because I keep applying this to just very practical, simple things that happen on a daily basis. When you get triggered, what do you normally do? And has anyone been able yet to go to this place where I am content to be wherever he wishes, knowing he goes there with me? I've glimpsed it, I've experienced it a few times, but has anyone been able to do that? And if so, what are the thoughts that prepare you to even enter that state of mind? I know that's a big old fat question, but I'm just curious. What are you guys using to enter this, or are we not able to enter this?
I feel like I'm getting better at it. You know, I haven't been triggered for a month or so. So, but the last time I was triggered, it wasn't pretty. But I've been tapping back into that memory resolution technique now a lot more. So when I feel like I'm getting triggered, I think, yeah, okay, there's something else I can work on. And when I get a chance to do that memory resolution technique, and that really helps me, and to realize deep down in my soul that I know that the trigger isn't being caused by the other person. It's my trigger. So there's no point spewing it out on someone else, because it's nobody else's trigger. It's me. It doesn't help anybody. It's not helpful to get angry at someone else at my trigger.
I think what you said there was really important, because if in the mind we think that it's being caused by what's outside of us, then we'll try to control what's outside of us, and that becomes a sticking point. And that becomes, you know, I mean, with the situation I'm talking about, I realize that I probably have about 10 core memories that I've never been aware of. Well, I'm aware that they happen, but I'm not aware of the degree that they affected me until this situation happened. And I thought, oh, so that's what that is. It's like this person reminds me of that back there. And that's why I feel like so triggered. I'm like, okay, great awareness. I'll do some work on that. So is that something that you're doing as well, V, where you see
Yes.
this pattern of an emotional state and then you trace back the events where you felt that and neutralize them?
Yeah, and it's funny because, you know, I could think of a memory that triggered the memories come up because I've been triggered. But when I think of the memory, when I am looking at the memory previously, there had no charge to it, but I've been triggered, so there still is a charge. Intellectually,
Yeah.
there was no charge, but there still was.
I think that's the deception of the mind, because when we've compartmentalized an event or sequence of events in that place of, well, it's no longer bothering me. It's not bothering you because you're not triggered by it in that moment. But that doesn't mean it's not harbored somewhere inside that once triggered turns into something a lot more nuclear than what the situations really deserve. So many people that I see as clients, they're like, oh, that's not an issue for me anymore. I'm like, okay, well, let's just wait until the trigger happens, and then we'll have another conversation about it, because we walk around in this place of, because we've compartmentalized the issues, it doesn't mean that it's resolved. It means that we need to look at what those threads of our emotional states are and trace back the times that either produced it, accentuated it, or either further amplified it, and then begin to work on those. So you're finding that that's really helping you as well, Veronica.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Does anybody else have anything that they're doing that you feel has been effective? Because I think this is a huge common problem. And there's somewhere in the Course in Miracles that says there's only fear, there's only love that runs everything. So to be able to actually find a methodology to lessen the fear, or find a way that, and each one of us may have our own, to actually control that, that's worth its weight in gold. So does anyone have anything else that they want to share? What do you guys use that isn't what V said? Is there anyone else?
I go
Like
into
how
a place. I go into a place called Core. So it's almost, for me, it's almost like it's in the pit of my stomach, and that's through my learnings with Peak, which V's familiar with as well. So I'll go into that place of Core, and that's where I find my calm, collect my thoughts, and just allow it to be, whatever it is. And it's a lovely place to be.
For sure. For sure. Linda, what, sorry, Jane, what do you use?
Yeah, I mean, really, like in the last 6 months to a year, I feel like I've had to call on it because I think in our growth, it's almost like sometimes things get worse before they get better. In our growth, you know, there's a storm of sorts that we may walk into in our growth, and being ready for that. And what I find is there's usually blame and shame, and along with the fear, and there's enough of it to go around. Like with myself, I may experience it on myself, and so I center myself and say, you are loved, you are doing the very best you can, and all is well. It's just an emotion. It's just emotions. The other person is a beautiful soul. I'm a beautiful soul. And that is the truth. Any fear or sadness or you know, anger, shame is not real. It's made up to tear oneself down. And so I get in touch with that quickly. And then I feel the ease. I feel, because it's the truth. And I think when you can hold on to the truth that we're beautiful souls, it
Right.
helps.
So you go through a process of self-talk that you identify with the oneness of yourself and the other person. Okay.
Yes.
Joe, do you have
Yes.
anything you could contribute to that?
Well, for myself, it really depends on how bad the trigger moment is. If it's a quick little thing where something was said and I feel it and I'm like, oh, that wasn't pleasant. And then I, like a few on the call, I would ask, like, where is this coming from? Why is this upsetting me or you know, getting under the skin, so to say? And generally I'll walk through the emotion to figure out where exactly it's at. If it's like an in-person, consistent, almost in a way of being attacked, I do my best to excuse myself from the situation, so I can have that moment to find peace, to calm the mind, to essentially get out of the emotion. Because when we react in emotion, it's generally not the greatest of things. And
Generally not.
so many occasions in my life where I was not allowed to excuse myself. I mean, some cases even like backed in the corner, and it's not a pretty thing.
Okay, sweet. Okay, well, we all have our systems to handle it, but it, for me anyways, if I have a trigger that triggers off a gestalt of issues that I thought was fully under control, but different memories or different emotions come up, then I know that it's not. And there's a whole bunch of work that I get to do on it. But then I can get to this place of what those statements were above, of I'm content to be wherever he wishes, knowing he goes there with me. I personally think that's one of the most powerful ways to live your life. If you can do that, I think the course becomes this living, breathing aspect of how we navigate through everything. Yeah. Does anyone have anything else they want to say about number 1 on fear and conflict?
Wait on that
Do you
one.
want to read
Yeah.
the next one?
Sure. I do not foster level confusion, but you must choose to correct it. You would not excuse insane behavior on your part by saying you could not help it. Why should you condone insane thinking? There is a confusion here that you would do well to look at clearly. You may believe that you are responsible for what you do, but not for what you think. How many times have we seen that in memes? The truth is that you are responsible for what you think, because it is only at this level that you can exercise choice. What you do comes from what you think. You cannot separate yourself from the truth by giving autonomy to behavior. This is controlled by me automatically as soon as you place what you think under my guidance. Whenever you are afraid, it is a sure sign that you have allowed your mind to miscreate and have not allowed me to guide it.
I don't know about you guys, but I'm feeling like really ridiculously grateful right now that we do this. Because this one statement is so bloody useful.
It puts it in context as well. I don't know, mate, how many times I've seen that statement, that you may believe you are responsible for what you do, but not for what you think. But in the context of reading all of this, it's just hit home.
But hasn't it been like for the last at least 20 plus years, there's been a mantra that says, you're not your thoughts, you're not your thoughts. And it's like, well, oh, well, yes. And then you look at this and then choice comes from our thoughts, from what we think. So I'm somewhat confused in a sense.
But well, I don't think we are our thoughts, but I think we are responsible for them. But we are not our thoughts. It's like saying I am angry instead of saying I feel anger.
Right, right.
I think through repetition.
But I guess it's the ownership of it is important. And if I say the words, I'm not my thoughts, I'm deflecting and I'm pushing it away as if it's not mine. I didn't give birth to it. It's like, yeah, I did.
Well, I think through our repeated thoughts, we become what we think repeatedly because we build the neural pathways. So I think through the repetition of it, that we do become what we think because our actions and our emotions follow it. But here it says, you would not excuse insane behavior on your part by saying it could not help it. Why should you condone insane thinking? So, the course is attempting to see, and explain to us, I believe, that, we do think in separation most of the time. I'll speak for myself. And then it goes to, you cannot separate yourself from the truth by giving autonomy to behavior, meaning that the behavior was birthed in our thinking. The second to the last line, I think, for me in this paragraph is the most important one. It says, thinking, this is controlled by me automatically as soon as you place what you think under my guidance. So then it returns back to, the statements above. I think, anyways, for me. Where it says, I do not have to worry about what to say or what to do because he who sent me, he will direct me. I am content to be whatever he wishes, knowing that he goes there with me. I will be healed as I let him teach me to heal. So for me, it still refers back to that, because he's saying that if we automatically put our thinking under that guidance, this guidance, then is controlled by something higher than us. Is there more on this that we want to talk about?
Well, I think that miscreates a powerful word as well. It's like we're creating. Yes, this is how powerful our thoughts are because we create from that. So if we're feeling fearful, we're creating this illusion around us that we should be fearful. It's like when we worry, we're praying for what we don't want.
Mm.
So the focus of our thoughts becomes the world that we live in.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, in addition to what Jane was saying, while she was talking, it brought to mind I had to look it up, the meditation Isha Kriya, Kriya, where you're literally chanting, I am not the body, I am not the mind, or something along those lines. And it seems like an irrelevant meditation now when you sit and think about this paragraph and how literally, if you think it, you're bringing it into creation.
Always. And this is why I keep going back to this one thing, and it's just tied into the work I do is consistently doing my best and helping other people to do their best to think differently. And then I say, well, how can we think differently if we're looking through the filters of an unresolved past? Because you see only through the color of the lens in which you are most emotionally attached to. And if we're reactive by a variety of different issues that we have yet to resolve, we're not going to be able to see it much differently, much less think about it differently. But if we can get to the state of the statements above and stay there, that would begin to start working. I think the two go hand in hand, where there's this spiritual application. But I believe, at least in my own experience, that there's a physiological application of work that can be done to lessen the impact. So the things that are stated in the statements above, ones we've just read, will be able to land deeper and land in a way that can take root. That's what I'm experiencing, anyways, in my own process. V, are you experiencing something similar, or is it different for you?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with that meditation, Joe, about I am not my body, I am not my mind. Because if we can observe what's happening in our body, then whether that be emotional, even when we're feeling emotion, where is that in the body? And if we can shift that, we can change our emotion. We can change the fear. We can change the anger by shifting something in our body or shifting the way that we're thinking. but it's still not who we are. Because the connection, the miracle comes from somewhere other than our mind or our body. That's kind of what I get from that meditation as well. So, you know, we're here to learn our lessons, and our bodies and our thoughts and our triggers are there to help us get there. That's my
I really love to hear how everyone approaches these particular, our own personal challenges that we all face. I think it's super important that we that we share what these things are for us and how each one of us individually are guiding our ways through there, because it is something that I think we learn from each other in this. And I get a lot of value from hearing what everybody says. So hope you guys don't mind me asking you questions like, well, how do you do it? And what's your process? Because I think it's really important that we all share what that is.
I think it's great that everybody has their own way of doing it. You know, if we all did it the same way, there's no growth in that.
Well, for me, it adds dimension. It adds dimension to what I know to do for myself, and it adds another level of dimension when other people share, and I go, "Oh, that's a great idea." Maybe I'll trial that one out, and I think it really, really is useful. Does anybody else have anything they want to say about this particular paragraph? Let's go on, V.
Righty. Who wants to read this one?
I can jump in.
Go for it, Joey.
It is pointless to believe that controlling the outcome of misthought can result in healing. When you are fearful, you have chosen wrongly. That is why you feel responsible for it. You must change your mind, not your behavior, and this is a matter of willingness. You do not need guidance except at the mind level. Correction belongs only at the level where change is possible. Change does not mean anything at the symptom level where it cannot work.
So this is what I get. I'm going to work backwards. It says change does not mean anything at the symptom level where it cannot work, which just means when you've already produced the emotions and you're already in some sort of emotional aberration, it's near to impossible to unravel that. You have to get it at the thought level before the thought turns into emotional states. So you do not need guidance except at the mind level. Correction belongs only at the level where change is possible. Because once you're in the emotions, you can't necessarily change the emotions with another action or behavior, but you can shift it by correcting how you think about it. And that is a place where change is possible. Yeah. When you are fearful, you have chosen wrongly. That is why you feel responsible for it. You must change your mind, not your behavior. And this is a matter of willingness. And for me, it's like willingness to see it differently, willingness to call in another resource. Are people seeing it like I'm seeing it, or are you seeing it differently?
Yeah, I got it. And I love that statement, change does not mean anything at the symptom level, because it just reminds me of our healthcare system. We're treating symptoms, not the actual cause of things that are wrong. And even with that, the physical, whatever the physical ailment is, it's going deeper than that. And addressing the emotional trigger for it is where you actually create the healing physically as well as emotionally.
Yeah. do we all get this? Are there questions or are there statements that we want to make about this? Jane, you
I
good?
get it. I
Okay.
am good. Yeah.
Okay. Linda, you good?
Yeah, good.
Okay. Joey, all good?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. There looks like something percolating between your ears, but I'm not sure.
I'm just doing my best to stay awake.
No,
Running-
buddy, I'm sorry.
Running on empty over here.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thanks for being here.
I wouldn't miss it. Unless I did fall asleep, then I may have slept through it.
Jane, you want to give it a go on number 4?
The correction of fear is your responsibility. When you ask for release from fear, you are implying that it is not. You should ask instead for help in the conditions that have brought the fear about. These conditions always entail a willingness to be separate. At that level, you can help it. You are much too tolerant of mind wandering and are passively condoning your mind's miscreations. The particular result does not matter, but the fundamental error does. The correction is always the same. Before you choose to do anything, ask me if your choice is in accord with mine. If you are sure that it is, there will be no fear.
That's really interesting because Murray was a very successful accountant who built a very large accounting business before he retired. And he provides guidance sometimes, and I'm kind of shirking from it or making excuses because there's fear there. So this kind of makes me think that it might be good to kind of change that fear into curiosity and work out why is creating this fear, this feeling in me in the first place. And I know it's because it's challenging me to do things differently.
I love this one statement. The correction is always the same. Before you choose to do anything, ask me if your choice is in accord with mine. If you are sure that it is, there will be no fear. But that one line says, before you choose to do anything, ask me if your choice is in accord with mine. I think that's a golden sentence for tonight. Does anybody else see that as a golden sentence?
Yeah, I'm writing it out.
God, what a tool that would be. I'm going to write it down too.
But for me, there's a caveat that if I'm too dense to know, to get your message, to really be in grace, when I ask the question, am I open and in a graceful state where I know it is your will?
It sounds like fear right there.
Yeah.
Mm.
My impression from that, Jane, is to jump in anyway, and the actual message will become clearer after action. That's what I'm saying.
So like ask and you shall receive.
Yeah, have a go with your intention and then see what comes up with curiosity.
Yeah, I don't think there's any other choice than, no matter what state of mind we're in, whatever state of the separated mind we're in, that question will begin to start pulling away at the foundation of the illusion, and at least open up the possibility to get another level of information. I think that's just such an important statement to me. The other thing I wanted to share is that I'm finding, not that I enjoyed this particular emotional experience, but when I have a conflict, or I have an out that I'm experiencing, I'm beginning, and much more so than ever before, to see it as, oh, this is an indication of something that I have yet to address. It's a window into another level of the aquifer of my subconscious mind that runs underneath the level of consciousness for me to actually bring attention to. It's an opportunity for evolution. And I personally think, it's wildly good. The thing I just want to share, the little upset I had a couple days ago was, Robert and I go up to our pool, which is meant for, it's an adult community. It's quite peaceful and it's quite lovely. And we go up there at night when the sun sets and it's evening there. And every time we go, there's this family from outside our community that's paid a very small amount to use the pool. They come with their 3 literally out of control boys, and then they bring another family with more out of control children, and they stay there till 9:30 or 10 o'clock at night. They disrupt. I mean, I had to leave. I had a headache from hearing the screaming of the kids. And I'm thinking, don't they understand? I mean, just basic civility, And as I was going through that, like my anger levels are rising and rising and rising and rising. And I'm like, okay, I've got to go, because I'm going to say something and it's not going to be pretty, and it's not going to be in alignment with who I'm evolving to be. So I just need to remove myself. That is a choice I can make, which is what I did. But that doesn't resolve anything. So the thing that I became very aware of is this woman is quite large. She's very dominant, and she has this lack of regard or awareness or caring for anybody else in her space. And that took me right back to where I was when I was a young man, and I had friends dying of AIDS that actually lived at my house. And this woman, a neighbor, would call the police on me. She would have the city come in and make sure that there wasn't any illegal things going on in the house. I mean, it was pure 100% homophobic harassment as I was help caring for people that were dying. And it was so awful to me. And she was so, I can't even, heartless, I guess that's the word, that I realized I hadn't touched any of that as far as the trauma that I've experienced. I haven't looked at that. I haven't regarded it as a big spot in my life. I've never even considered that would be something I'm carrying with me like right now, until that about the pool happened. And I saw the whole correlation of it. It's like thoughtless, rude, doesn't care about other people, at least in what I'm making up. It could be completely different. But that was what my hallucination is. And that tied it back to all these other things in my life where I've experienced that. And I thought, oh, so that's what it is. That's why I couldn't contain that feeling in me, and why I couldn't even speak to her, because I would have lost the plot. And I thought, how useful. Like, I don't want to experience that. I would just want to go to the pool and really just hang out and have peace, right? But I have these situations that I have to deal with. I'm thinking, but how synchronistic and how useful is it that now I've discovered a whole nother area that I can resolve emotionally in my flesh, and then I can surrender it over to God. in my journey, I have never experienced me being able to surrender over something to God in my mind, in my desire in my mind, without working on the emotional states that are locked into my body. I can't get there personally. Maybe other people can, but I can't. I have to work on the issues that I am, on the emotional issues that all the other responses are resting on that foundation. When I do that and neutralize that back there, I can get to an action that's going to be affirmative and that's going to lead to a positive result. If I don't do that, I'm too reactive. Does anybody else have that issue other than me?
Yeah, a lot has been coming up lately too of things to release. And it could just be from a simple thought, not even an interaction with the person that will lead to like, oh, I got some work to do over here on this situation.
Yeah, I mean, I'm literally growing in greater and greater gratitude. Not that I enjoy experiencing it, because I don't. Not that I'm going to enjoy having that conversation with this woman, because I won't. But what I do know is it has to happen. It has to happen in a high way, so I can add that experience as a jewel in the crown of my identity and form a new neural pathway of habit. So this aspect of feeling like a victim of another in consideration has to take form. If I miss this opportunity, and I'm viewing it totally as an opportunity, if I miss this opportunity, then what happens is I prolong the healing. I guess that's the point I wanted to make, is that these uncomfortable situations where we get really triggered and we get upset, they're not something that I believe any longer are horrible situations. I believe it is an opportunity for us to get in touch with, why does that? What's the history behind how I'm feeling? And then neutralize as much of that as possible and get to the place where you can have a conversation that leads to an amenable resolution between conflicting parties. You know, they just want to have their fun and they want to own the pool, and it's late at night, and you know, they think it's theirs to do, and whoever shows up, everyone just has to deal with what their family culture is like. And you know, quite frankly, it doesn't work for me. However, that gets to be, I don't think explained, but has to be approached in a very specific way at a very high level. And the other night, I was not at a high level. I was not at a high level.
So
So
walking up and
Gary,
saying,
did you
"Wow, great
ask?
group."
Oh,
Go ahead.
go ahead, Joe.
I was just going to be a smarty pants.
That's
Me
okay.
too. Me too.
I was just
So
going to
give
say,
me your
Gary,
smarty pants response, Joe.
I was just going to say you should walk up to her and say, "Wow, great group of kids. What's the name of their screaming death metal band?"
I like that, Joe. Thanks for a lovely, peaceful environment. I just love to hear heavy metal in my ears for like 3 hours while I'm trying to, you know, like chill out from the day. I know. Jane, what was yours?
Yeah, my smart aleck response would have been, and tell me, just what nights are you here?
Oh, she's already said, she says, this time is our time. And I'm here every night.
Oh, every night?
Yeah.
Oh, couldn't you go let the air out of her tires or something?
Oh, no, not going to do that. When we leave, when we just can't take it anymore and we leave, she goes, oh, bye-bye. Like, my God, could anything else be more annoying? You know, it wouldn't be so bad, but I mean, I didn't pay this, but it was grandfathered into the purchase of my house. $30,000 to have the amenities. I didn't pay, but ultimately I did pay $30,000 for the amenities of this community. The only thing I use is a pool, and I can't have it. I can't enjoy it. So it's been interesting to not go into victim, but you know, to look at it from the perspective, because I'm going up there tonight, but to look at the perspective of how do according to the Course in Miracles and all the stuff I'm carrying with me that I didn't think I was carrying with me, but I am, is a constant path of rediscovery. I'll tell you that when you decide that this is what and who you desire to become, you really have to take massive accountability to clean yourself up as much as you can discover and see if you can lessen the impact of the external world so you can behave in a way that's going to be alignment with being in alignment with God. Before you choose to do anything, ask me if your choice is in accord with mine. Me ripping her a new orifice is not going to be in alignment with Christ's work, I don't think. So yeah, that's kind of like the little thing that I will have to and continue to work on. But the thing I just really expressed was that I think it's important that we take these challenges, these marks in our personality, these little flaws, and find the tendrils of them. And, Joe, I don't know if you're going to come and join us or not, but you and I need to talk about that at some point in the near future. And if so, I'm almost feeling like I'd rather have you come and do the trauma work certification because it's the same price, but do that one because you're working with people and that's going to give you tremendous tools. Not that the ultimate mindset won't. It'll give you a whole nother set of tools. But I really want you to be able to change people's lives in a very short period of time. And that other certification will give you that. But you and I will talk because I only want you, I want to be able to guide you through this so that you get the most value for the money that you'll invest. But it's super important. That one is super important.
When are the courses starting, Gary?
Ultimate Mindset starts this coming Monday.
Mm.
So a little bit less than a week. So it's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, 5 days. Starts in 5 days. So that's happening. And then the trauma solution certification, I think, starts late July. I think. Is it July? No, it can't be July. Maybe it starts in August. I don't know. I'll find out. Yeah,
I'll
definitely
reach out with an email.
Yeah, it starts August 23rd, that one. But it's important. Okay. Let's give our word, gang. Did we get some value tonight?
Yeah.
I got a lot of value. I hope I didn't talk too much.
Never.
That's impossible.
I don't know. I think it's quite possible.
Yeah, Robert might disagree.
Linda's like, yeah, this guy just talks way too much.
No, not at all.
Okay, gang, let's give our word, shall we? V, you want to start us off?
I get to choose.
Joey?
I am here only to be truly helpful.
Damn, Joe, you took mine.
I thought you were going to take number 4.
Oh, well, I guess I didn't, did I? Linda?
Well, I'm going to take from one of the things that we read out today. You cannot separate yourself from the truth by giving autonomy to behavior.
Jane?
I will be healed because I am willing to be led.
And mine would be, I am here to represent him who sent me. I'm going to get that tattooed on my body somewhere.
Don't tell us where.
At least a bumper sticker.
Trust me, it's not pretty anymore. So it has to be somewhere very, I like that, Joey. What does it say?
Hold on, pain ends. I got it when I was going through my severe depression and suicidal moments. And that was the tattoo that helped me come out of it. Anytime
Awesome.
I put my head in my hands, I could see it, and it helped me move out of that moment.
Awesome. I personally, that one, I'm here to represent him who sent me. that would return me back faster than just about anything else out of the course, I think. So I want to thank you guys for coming. I always want to thank V, because whenever I get on the course, with you guys, I'm thinking, oh, I have so little time and da 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 da. I'm thinking, this feeds my soul. I hope you guys all feel the same, but I'm like, this
Yes.
feeds my soul. It keeps me in a place of
Centeredness.
of truth. So I'm just really grateful to all of you for continuing to show up, and let's just support each other and go into the next level and see what we can do. Because the world's going to be calling for a lot of souls who claim and commit to being an example of He who sent us, so that we can do as much contribution to the fear that will naturally rise in the world. And I think we're going to all see a time where there's more fear than we have experienced before. And we'll have to step up and not be part of that, but be part of something bigger and broader and brighter. And we can't do that if we're all afraid. So this is for me, this was a really important chapter. It's a really important chapter. Okay, I could say something. I wanted to say something very inappropriate. I'm not going to say it, but
You have to now.
well, it starts with F. It's F. Fear. Just 2 words.
Nice.
Excellent.
There's nothing inappropriate about that.
There's nothing.
Not at all.
That's right.
That first word
I
is
should
like
make a
something.
series of T-shirts. Wouldn't that be great? F blank blank
Ooh.
blank fear. Be good. Okay, God bless you all. Let's all stay aligned to our truth and ask for the divine to work through us and be an example of who we've come here to be, from He who has sent us. God bless. I'll see you next Tuesday.
Bye.
Beautiful. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Bye-bye, Jane. Good to see you.
Great to be